Francisco 49ers deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry Rice.
It's the 49 Faithful UK show. It's week 18 and we have made it all the way through the regular season, and it is the visit of the LA Rams to Levi's. Now usually this is a divisional game that feels much bigger, but with the Niners looking up the number 1 seed and the Rams guaranteed either the 6th or 7th seed, this might be a bit more pre-season than post-season. I'm Gareth Ellis, and for the last regular season preview of the season, the gang's all here. It's Paul Hope.
What's up, Faithful?
It's Najee Kaur.
Hello, everyone.
And back to match fitness, it's Lee Gowland.
Well, not quite, but how are you all doing?
I'm good. Looking forward to this one, I think. But lads, both teams guarantee playoffs. This game is headlined by a matchup that we didn't know we wanted. The first NFC West Ginger Bowl. It's Darnold versus Wentz. And it's the choice that has faced every head coach heading into the playoffs in this situation. Is it rust or is it rest? Where do you guys sit on this? Najee, I'm going to start with you because I'm pretty sure you're going to have an opinion on whether we rest players or whether we keep them match fit.
It's the age-old question at this time of the season when you already qualified. And as you all know, because I keep saying it all the time, although I haven't said it in a while, you don't get better football by not playing football. That's the only way you get better. And as Carl said in his press conference, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, maybe the Monday one. He said he wants to get better because he thinks we can still improve as a team, and therefore we need to play now. Obviously, being what it is and having 2 weeks off, not just one, like the Rams do, it's an easier choice if you just have a 1 week. How much is too much rest? That's the question, and I do think 2 weeks completely off will take you out of game speed, which can hurt you really bad if you're not quite up to speed in the first quarter of a playoff game. You could just basically lose the game there and then because you'd just be far too behind. Momentum is a thing, and it's not just during a game, it's also within a team. That feeling that you have of playing and you're in that rhythm of playing games a week per week, you kind of have to stay in it to just not lose focus and, so yeah, it's a tough one. I say play as much as you need to and then rest within reason. And then that's kind of where I sit. So I would say snap count is where I would go. So play whoever can play. If you're injured, if you have niggles, stay out of it. But if you can play, you play, and maybe you play 60%, 70% of your snap. Or if you have a bit of a scare, so you feel something tight, just come out. There's no need to take risks. That's where I stand.
Paul, what about you?
I thought Najee was going to steal my thunder because he's been doing his homework. As our head coach, Kyle Shanahan, said, chaps, you can only rest 7 guys if nobody's hurt. Yes. And we have 6 guys injured. So isn't it funny, as 49ers fans, the one position, if you went back 12 months ago and said, quarterback's nailed on, everyone, we're resting the quarterback, people might have thought you were a bit insane, but no surprise to the listeners, I'm on the same page as Najee. Brock's the only one that's sitting. The other 6, if they've got niggles, don't need to risk them. And I'm just looking forward to the Ginger Bowl, as you have quite rightly called this game on Sunday.
Not just the first one, though. Surely in the 50s or something, there must have been a Ginger Bowl at some point.
However, right? People who are regular listeners will know me and Najee, and I think Lee may have, we called this game meaningless at the start of the season. So if you've been listening and taking those predictions off, we did predict it.
Both of you predicted this would be a Darnold start. I think you might have predicted a loss with that. I should point out that I saw the reference to Ginger Bowl on social media at some point, and I thought I'm having that, but I won't take full credit for it.
Go on, Lee.
Well, I think Najee's absolutely nailed it there. I would play the players 2-3 quarters. If they haven't got injuries, play them for 2-3 quarters. You're going to have a fortnight off. That's more than enough time. And obviously it's the Rams, so I'd still like to batter them. So yeah, as long as we can have as many players on there as possible who are starters, then that's great. Yeah.
See, what's good about this game, before we move on, is those fringe players. We can play them without any risk. I saw a tweet. Ben Barch has been playing well at centre in practice, and Chris Forrester said that he might see action at centre on Sunday. And you can give these players proper snaps in the NFL, and it doesn't matter. And I was going to say, Gareth, we should have done a disclaimer. The emotional rollercoaster won't be back on Sunday, faithful. It doesn't matter. Just enjoy this
really
game.
doesn't.
You say that, but
Yeah.
Still the Rams.
sweep. It's still the Rams.
Yeah,
It would
you
be
still
nice
want
to
to win
sweep
every
the
game.
NFC
Yeah, but we don't have
2 years in a row, because remember, it's never been done before, and it would be nice to set. And I do think I would do want to beat them, absolutely, set a point and prove everybody they were right voting all those Pro Bowlers in. But yeah, it's just managing no expectation, but we're not trying to win at all costs. We'll try to win, and that's it. So yeah, I think I agree with you, Lee. Just 60%, 2 quarters.
Yeah.
Basically, what is it? Week
So let's get this right, Najee. You're agreeing with me, agreeing with you.
That's right.
So what you're really saying is you agree with yourself.
I agree with myself. I haven't changed my mind yet.
That's what I thought you said.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Just wanted to clear that up. I'll tell you what,
What do you
I'm
think,
really
Gareth?
looking forward to seeing Sammy Womack play on Sunday night.
Oh yeah.
Because I think he'll see some significant play time. So
Well,
I'm
that's
looking
what
forward to that.
this podcast is going to be about, really. I think is who we're looking forward to see and
Yeah,
who
exactly.
we're going to keep an eye out. Actually, I forgot to say this before, but I think we should revamp our player watch for this week and just choose 4 new players that we can keep an eye out. Because although some of our players watch will probably play, we can just see maybe the rookies, the ones we haven't chosen because they weren't going to play. More on that later. What do you think, Gareth? Rust or rest?
I think we've got a consensus there. I think it's that fine line. I would keep the players playing, but you've got that snap count. I think it's good that with the Rams are in the same situation. Their players aren't going to want to pick up injuries before the playoffs as well. If we were playing a team that was, say, out of the playoffs, not saying that players go out to hurt each other, but people may be playing for contracts and know that this is the last game. Maybe a head coach is going to change. They're coming to the end of the contract. Some of those guys play full speed. Whereas I think this is going to be a game, particularly in the second half, no one's going to want to get injured. No one's going to want to, play at that 100% full on. The game doesn't really matter to either team. There is possibly a school of thought that the Rams may prefer to lose it, depending on the playoff matchup, depending on how you go there. But I think certainly there's not a lot of difference between the 6th and 7th seeds. And I think, we will segue into the fringe players, which is something that I think is going to be interesting. It's going to be a bit of that pre-season feel. And I think not only do we give those guys a bit of a reward, perhaps, for putting in the shift this season, because remember, those guys are still practicing as many hours as the starters. They're still travelling the same distance. They're putting in the same shift. They're just not getting the chance on the field. And I think this is a great opportunity for some of them to maybe put themselves in the shop window for an extension with us or with someone else. And I think it's an opportunity for some of those guys to come out and shine. So I do like very much the idea that we're going to have a one-off different player watch for this particular game. And as I'm still talking, I'm going to leap in first with Charlie Warner is going to be mine. And I want to see Charlie Warner get some catches and maybe George be cheering him on from the sideline. How about the rest of you? Paul, I think probably you're next up on the list. So pick a player. Who are you going to be rooting for?
You mean
scroll
apart
down
from
to the
my
defense if you want.
darling number 10?
Yeah.
Well, he is kind of, you could probably stick with him, to be fair.
I mean,
gonna
to be
play a
honest,
lot,
when I was preparing, I knew Lee was going to go for Sammy Womack. I'll pick someone on the defensive side of the ball just to be interesting. And I'm going to go for Ryan Logan, because there was a lot of talk about him coming in, number 33. I think he had a solid game last week. And I think he might feature more heavily this week against some of, because isn't the Rams got that young lad receiver who needs so many receptions to break a record?
Yeah,
it might be interesting to see if Logan goes up against him. So that's my answer for you, Gareth.
I don't. Is it receptions or yards?
I think it's
something.
both.
He's very close to breaking.
I think it's four or five receptions and like 28, 29 yards, and he'll break the rookie receiving for both receptions and yards.
I'll be busy on player watch because Ronnie Bell's going to have 4 touchdowns, 50 punt returns. It's going to be all good, lads.
50 punt returns. That'll be a terrible game. Go on, Lee. Who do you want?
Oh, it's obviously I'm taking Sammy Womack.
Oh, you're taking Sammy, yeah. Of course. I will say though, I'm pretty sure starters apart from Brock are gonna play maybe the whole of the first quarter. I would imagine a couple of possession, maybe three possession, and then we're gonna start seeing people. You really left me everything open. I had so many I want to watch. The two linebacker rookie.
Pick an O and a D.
Okay. Well, I'll pick D Winters because I really like that draft pick. I think he's going to play a bunch. He played pretty much the whole of fourth quarter against Commanders, or quite a bit anyway. So I'm going to pick D Winters on the defense. And on offense, actually, I'm going to go tight end as well. You can't see him on the screen here. He's slightly off. I zoomed too much in. That's Braden Willis, number 9, which we drafted this year as well. Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on him as well as soon as George Heck is due, because Ross Dwelly, I think, is still injured. So it's going to be basically Charlie Warner and Braden Willis. So, yeah, those two guys for me. Keep an eye on.
Play for you, Lee, coming back down the list?
Yeah.
Spoiled
not that many
choice.
left. It's not that many left. Well, Danny Gray might play.
Yeah. Jordan Mason, obviously.
Yeah, because I didn't scroll to the injured. To the practice squad, but we are gonna activate a couple of these people on practice squad. So maybe TDP might get activated.
Maybe I never thought of that.
Yeah, it's very much possible.
Well, I'm hoping Jennings is back, and in the third or fourth quarter, he could be our wide receiver 1.
Yeah. It's a good segue into injuries when we're done doing this. But Jawan is limited practicing, so I don't know.
Well, it's still the concussion, which seems to be if he's practicing, he's just working through. You have to do limited, then full.
But that's the second week in a row now. That is must have been a bad one. I don't even remember seeing it. I mean, we're going to keep an eye on everyone. We'll see. Yeah, Ben Barch, it's interesting. I want to see what he can do. Matt Pryor, Jalen Moore, all of these guys. Because looking at the future, all these contracts that we're going to have to eventually give all these wonderful players that we have, the BA, the Debo, CMC is going to need a new contract, and Brock and all that. I think O-line is where we're going to have to go cheap, and if we can find gems, it's going to make our lives a lot easier. So,
well, I think you've just taken off there, but obviously we signed Sebastian Joseph Day not so long ago, and we have struggled with Eric Armstead out. I think if anyone was in any doubt about how important he is to the team, that's been proved over the last few weeks. Unfortunately, it has shown up that Javon Kinlaw is still not there, not the first round player we expected. There's an opportunity here. Maybe he can have a big game and give Kyle something to think about. But at the moment, I imagine he's not going to be on the team next year. Kevin Givens has hung around for some time. Be great to see one of these guys step up and show that we actually do have some depth in the middle there behind Armstead and Hargrave, because at the moment we are a little bit soft in the middle, and it's Eric's absence is becoming concerning as we move into the important part of the season. So that's an area that I'm going to keep an eye on. Can we stop the run up the middle? Can those guys shore up the middle of the defence, which has been a bit softer in the last few weeks? So, shall we move over to the Rams? Much in the same position as us. We're not 100% sure who's going to play, other than we know Matt Stafford is not going to. I'd completely forgotten about Carson Wentz, and I didn't even know he had a team. So was mildly surprised to see he's going to be up at Levi's. And actually, I think you have got the Rams offense to run us through. The Rams have been quite good the back end of the season.
Yes, they have. They've found a way to make it work with what they got. And Puka Nakua, as we were just alluding to, has had an incredible season, which helped a lot. Their running back, Karen Williams, has been playing really well to the point where they released Cam Akers and didn't really sign anybody else. They just kind of went with him, and he's played really well. What that offense is going to look like with Carson Wentz is your guess is as good as mine. Carson Wentz tend to have good games against us, so it is possible that they torch us, especially with a defense that doesn't have many starters because Gibson is out, Jaya Brown is probably going to be out, so our secondary is going to be very thin. But you see, there's a lot of red names on their offense here. I think all of these guys are going to 100% not play at all, rest very much. So it's very hard. I think they're going to be very one-dimensional. It's going to be Puka Nakua or Karen Williams, and then that's it. And I don't quite think they'll be able to run on us with the O-line that they have. And our D-line is still pretty good, I think. But it's a good test, as you said a minute ago, Gareth. It'll be a good test to see if they can try and do that. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to guess what they're going to do. I'm guessing they're going to try and get Nakua to break the record. And from there, do you guys... I don't even know. Ben Sporolnik is all right sometimes, but that's about it, really.
Do seem to be carrying some injuries there. I think Kyle has said that he kind of expects us to be playing the Rams in a couple of weeks, and obviously, if they are the 6th or the 7th seed, then he's got a very good chance of being right because we will obviously face the lowest seeded team remaining. So it's the Rams or possibly somebody else. There's only really 2 options there. Well, depending on how the games pan out. So he suggested it'll be vanilla.
Do we really think the Rams can actually go into Detroit or Dallas and beat them?
Yeah, I think they can. Absolutely. Just purely on experience, right? The Rams have got players that have been in those kind of games. I think Detroit definitely has not. And I think it's going to be a shock to their system when they get to the playoffs and realize you can't try and confuse the team by declaring who's eligible or not. It's just that kind of stuff doesn't work in the playoffs. It's gonna have to play good football, and not that they don't. I'm just thinking the moment
Rams
might be
have got playoff experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And no pressure and nothing to lose. This was supposed to be a rebuilding. They can go wherever they want. No one's going to favour them to win, and they've won 6 of the last 7. I think only losing to Baltimore. So they're on a good run.
And it was
They've
a close
got momentum.
Yeah, and Dallas, if they go to Dallas, you know what they do in the playoffs. So they can absolutely win that game. All right, defense.
You've been very quiet, Paul. Do you want to take over on the defense? Unless there's anything to say on the offense, I think it's going to be a vanilla game, and I think we're going to see a few moments.
Yeah.
With players coming off practice squads, particularly 3rd and 4th quarters. So run us through the defense, Paul.
I mean, you say Rams defense, and straight away you think 99. Aaron Donald. Normally, I'd have spent the last week watching a lot of game tape, but Sean McVay came out and said he's not playing, so don't need to talk about 99. So I focused a bit on their actual defense. I was surprised, chaps. You mentioned a total rebuild this year, Gareth, and you're right. The Rams fans thought this year was going to be a write-off. They were 32nd in the league in cap allocation to the defense. So that tells you where they thought the defense was going to be this year. They only brought 2 starters back, which was Aaron Donald, which isn't playing, and linebacker Ernest Jones. And I thought, right, chaps, middle linebacker, I'll do some homework on him. And he's not playing on Sunday either, Gareth. And he's been one of their better players. So I thought, where shall I go for the defense. So you took the words out of my mouth. Week 18 matchup, meaningless. It's not a divisional rivalry game that we've come to know and love. But like I said, if you'd been listening to our podcast from the start, that wouldn't have been a surprise because me and Nadji called that. But philosophy-wise, Morris has been there for 3 years. He stuck very closely to the principles that he inherited from Brandon Staley. And what I mean by that is he likes a lot of 2 deep safety looks and he likes light boxes up front. Morris has always been more of a Tampa 2 scheme coach. And although he does like to mix it up, he likes to be exotic on what those fronts look like. He tends to run a lot of the defense through Aaron Donald, which is no surprise. So again, preparing for this show, if Aaron Donald's not playing, it's going to be interesting to see who Morris leans on. I mentioned there that Staley tended to favour heavily on the quarters coverage, where Morris tends to make it look like a cover 2, but then when the snap goes, they rotate to a cover 1, cover 3. And I was quite surprised to see that this defense is quite young. It's inexperienced. The weakness for me, and I'm not sure whether you guys agree, is the secondary. So even if their starters were playing, the Rams defense has struggled all season. Though that said, there's a familiar face in their secondary. Been playing all right. So Akello Weatherspoon, chaps, he's got a 45.7 completion rate when being targeted, and he's got 3 of the Rams' 14 interceptions. So we talk a lot on this show about the turnover battle. They've only got 14, which is the 3rd fewest in the NFL. And like I said, chaps, they've been struggling when it comes to stopping the pass. And basically, their defense is Aaron Donald on one side, and I think he's a rookie, Nadji, correct me if I'm wrong, 3rd-round rookie, Brian Young, the edge rusher, on the other side. He's got 4 sacks, 28 pressures, but basically they're ranked 23rd in pressure rate, Gareth, 29th in the sacks. And when your secondary isn't very good, that adds up to a recipe of disaster. Depending on where you get your rankings from the defense, chaps, they're ranked about 21st, 22nd in the league. And again, that's with all their starters. They're giving up about 234 yards per game. They're giving up 24 points per game. I was reading those numbers and thinking, those are Brock Purdy numbers. But
he's not playing.
He's not playing. So that's basically it in a nutshell for the defense, because like I said, Aaron Donald's not playing. There's a few names on there that I didn't recognise. So when I looked, I think they've the second team since the Cleveland Browns did it in 2016. Them 14 draft picks made their final roster. And interestingly enough, with one eye on next season, so I did my homework, Gareth, the Rams have $70 million in cap space. So they're coming off a good season. Like you've said there, they've got nothing to lose. Even if they're one and done in the playoffs, I think this year was supposed to be a rebuild year. I don't think you're going to see any changes to the top. And any questions, chaps? And you can't talk about Aaron Donald because he's not playing.
No. What can we say?
On paper, that defense sounds quite poor, but they have been on a winning streak. So I do wonder how much of those numbers might have been early struggles in the beginning of the season when they were trying to get this unit together, and obviously those rookies who they're depending on were finding their feet in the NFL, and a good bit of coaching, and maybe they have. So I imagine their defensive record is probably better over the back end of the season than the front end of the season. But that is just a guess, and I wouldn't dare like to go against your
yes,
analysis there, Paul.
You know,
Trust you implicitly.
Their 5-game winning streak is Cardinals, Browns, Commanders, Saints, and Giants. It's not like they beat juggernauts. They just
fair enough, but you still, as we say, you've still got to beat the team in front of you, haven't you?
Yeah, but they beat them badly. For some of them, you know, they won by.
Well,
they should have lost
against
the Giants,
the Browns.
you know, last week.
The Browns were a tough team to play.
Yeah, Browns. I think they played them at the time where Flacco had just arrived, so it was fairly easy to win that game.
To be fair with the stats, Gareth, the way it's looked, you could argue because the Rams have been behind in games, that's why on paper they look like a pass-heavy team and why they look like they're struggling in the defense, because the games can go topsy-turvy. I did go back and watch the Rams-Ravens game, and that one was one hell of a game. What a finish in overtime. But you've said yourself, I think Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan know each other so well. It wouldn't surprise me, Najee, if they're already thinking, could we meet in 2 weeks' time? So we're going to put nothing
definitely.
on
Kyle
game
said
tape.
it, so.
This could be one of the most comical, worst games you've ever seen because neither team wants to show their hands, or it could be an absolute shootout pre-season.
Pre-season vibe, for sure.
But my friend,
though the quarterback matchup could be interesting because I imagine that Wentz is only on a 1-year deal. We know Darnold is on a 1-year deal. If you look at a lot of the other quarterback matchups around the league, they're quite uninspiring. So you do wonder if those guys are thinking that, hey, if I put a good game on tape here, maybe I can chuck myself into the mix for some of the teams out there who don't have very inspiring quarterback rooms right at the moment. And maybe there's a chance to go somewhere else. Dare we say it's someone like the Patriots or Pittsburgh or someone like that, maybe compete with a rookie. There may be a job out there. Those two guys know they're in the shop window, and they were first-round picks, and they were franchise starting quarterbacks, 2-3 years ago, both of them. So NFL comes at you fast, but that could be an interesting matchup with two guys with nothing to lose, nothing on the line, other than the rest of their earnings and careers. So who knows? It could be a shootout for the ages. We'll see when we get down to the score predictions.
It was just interesting preparing for the show because normally you'd look at the matchups like, Aaron Donald going up against our offensive line, Jordan Fuller going up against Brandon Ayuk. But I don't know about you three, but preparing for this, you just don't know, which makes it what a game to predict.
It's good that we're doing Friday.
I can't wait for that. Yeah, we've even left it an extra day, people. So we're recording this on Friday. And I was like, Tracy, I need a score for them. To be honest, chaps, I nearly asked Jasmine what she thought her score was going to be. Because I need some inspiration for that trophy, Nadji.
There is. Right there.
Yeah, the trophy. Yeah, well, I think this is probably the perfect time to segue into the score predictions because I don't know that we have got a lot more we can say about the particular game. So, who's currently leading? It's a toss up between Paul and Nadji. One of you's going to have to go first, and I don't get to go last. It's uncharted territory for me.
That's the biggest of breaking news. I can go first. I was first before Paul. Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. Paul joined me last week. God, this is just the biggest. And I was at the beginning of the week. I was gonna go Rams win because I thought Stafford might play and they might try and win to get the 6 or whatever. But then when Sean McVay announced that no one was playing, I was just like, oh, how am I going to guess this? I'm going to go for a respectable 28-17 Niners win. And that seems like a lot of points, but that's what I'm going to go for.
Especially when the over-under was set at 41 that I saw earlier. I know we like to mention that for those people that gamble responsibly. So Nadji's smashing the over-under there. I like it, Nadji.
Well, it's a little over. It's not too bad. Yeah, we're a 4-point favorite. That's not a lot.
That's not a lot at home, is it?
No,
but I think that's
not a lot considering.
That's indicative of the low stakes nature of the game.
I'll go 28-17 because who knows what's going to happen in the fourth quarter. We might have Brandon Allen throwing for 2 touchdowns to Danny Gray or whatever. Who knows?
Paul, Nadji, up next.
My score isn't too dissimilar to yours. So unlike the season preview show, Gareth, I'm changing my mind. The Niners are winning this one, and it's going to be 27-20 to the 49ers.
Okay. 7 points, smashing the over.
Well, I've got to go third. This is outrageous.
Yeah. How does it feel?
It's going to come down to the wire. It's going to be a nail biter. And the Niners are going to pull out a 26-23 victory.
Not very close, kinda.
Is it going to be a field goal winner?
Yeah, Moody walk-off field
wins
goal.
It. Fair.
Moody wins it.
Nice.
So the first thing I noticed on Nadji's prediction is this will be the 5th time he's predicted that our opponent scores 17 points, and the other 4 times has yielded him 0 points.
That's very true.
But you can't change it. It's on there now.
It's on there. It's okay.
Okay, so I need to be very bold here if I'm going to get back in this race.
So I'm going
for a 27-24 LA Rams win.
Oh, 27-24.
That must have
go
hurt.
for it.
It did hurt.
Go for it.
You
I
heard
feel
it.
all dirty. I might need to go and have a shower after this.
You heard it here first. Lee, the stat man, analysed the figures, and he wants that trophy that bad. He'd rather. Oh, Lee, man.
But it's a bold move. So,
yeah, I mean, if
speaking
it
of
pays
bold,
out, you might just jump in front. It's plain and simple. So
Can you remember when we were in the gold mine and we were at the Stanford game, Nadji, and you weren't with us? And I think Stanford scored a touchdown, and Lee got me to record a personal message that I cannot repeat on the show. I have a feeling that if that trophy lands in Gowland's hands, we may see a repeat of that message.
That's very possible.
Yeah, completely forgot all about that, mate.
Yeah, I didn't. I was like, what's this? Oh, nice.
Any boldies we think we can mention? I'm going for Charlie Warner, 100 yards and a touchdown.
Oh, there's no way.
that is bold. That is bold.
That is bold. I've got one for offense. I think Sam Darnold will score 3 touchdowns, 1 running, and there will be
good call.
7 or more turnovers in his game.
Well, yeah, I could see it being a little bit of a circus game.
So I think I'm going to go really, really bold. I'm going to say that Debo is going to have 130 plus receiving yards in the first half.
So he can break 1K? Because I think that's about what he needs.
He needs 129.
Well,
that's good. I like that.
I was expecting a Sammy Womack bold prediction. And I even wrote in my notes, if Lee doesn't mention Sammy Womack in this section, but...
I always jinx him.
Deebo Samuel only needs 4 rushing yards to join Charlie Taylor as the only players in their first 5 years in the NFL with at least 4,000 receiving and 1,000 rushing yards. So I'm expecting Kyle to let Deebo get those rushing yards. Yeah. He likes to play against the Rams, so I think we're going to score 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals. I think Deebo gets 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving. And you stole my thunder a little bit, Nadji. I said we win the turnover battle, but I'm not putting a number on what that turnover battle's going to be. It's going to be like a hot potato. You have it. Yeah. No, you have it. No, you have it. So
7 plus.
And if we win this one's bold, Gareth. At the moment, we have won 12 straight games versus NFC West opponents. It's tied for the longest streak in the division. So we're making more history, people. We're winning this one. It's 13. We break another record, and Lee will be crying into that prediction trophy.
No, to be honest, see, I was thinking about this. If I predict a Rams win, then obviously I'm going to be happy because I'm going up the predictor league. If I don't win it, and the 49ers win, I'm going to be happy because we beat the Rams again.
I like it, mate.
It's a no-lose
situation.
Hedging your bets. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but as you know, I trawled back through our season prediction show where we got out the wheel of positivity and had a few predictions for players. I think we'll probably review that properly on the season review show. The people on the YouTube can see it, but I was just going to mention that I think we need the small matter of 10 defensive touchdowns. Will make one of our season bowl predictions. I think we need about 30 sacks to meet another one. I think Diomedor Lenore needs 3 pick sixes. I think Ambry Thomas needs 3 pick sixes. I think there was a few others on that. Christian McCaffrey's not going to make some of those. But yeah, we've still got a chance, and obviously there's still 3 more games. So I think those season predictions will extend through into the postseason. So it isn't just the last game. But yeah, we a couple that could be done that I do remember. I think Clelin Ferrell needs about 3 or 4 sacks, which is possible to take one of the predictions. I think you predicted he would have more sacks than a higher profile player. And it's not likely, but it's not impossible. A lot of them are not likely, but not impossible.
So when was that recorded, Gareth? When you went back and listened, when did we record that show? Just
like
for
August,
early September.
Early
So,
September, yeah.
Not bad. Not bad for
Not
four
bad.
guys
Not
on the
bad.
side
It's
of the
not bad.
pond.
No. Any other games you're going to be keeping your eyes on? It's been quite good end of the season. I think a lot of people have said this hasn't been a great season from quality, but I think it has been a good season in terms of parity. There's a lot of teams still got something to play for this point of the season. Who are you going to be keeping an eye on?
Yeah, that was one of the worries when we went to one extra game, was the season would be decided earlier, and then the last couple of weeks wouldn't matter so much. But if you look at especially the AFC, anybody's in it at the moment. It's going to be very exciting to watch this. But I'm keeping my eye on the Bears Packers game, because I think it would be very funny for the Packers to lose and miss the playoff. It probably mean the Seahawks are in it, which I wouldn't mind beating again in the playoffs at some point, Rams or Seahawks, whatever. But yeah, I just think it would be funny, because Chicago's having a quietly goodish
Good
season,
back end.
and the number one pick, so they're having a great time. Well, I'm sure they would rather be in the playoffs, but yeah. So yeah.
I'm looking forward to Red Zone at 6 p.m. and then watching our game. And no pressure. We think back to that Week 18 game against the Rams when we had to win it to be in it. And you're right, Najee. Kind of, there's NFL fans in the UK. You wait for what seems like forever for the season to come, and now we're at Week 18, and all the banter we've had with other fans, and you go on social media. The Bills, I think we were saying off air, I wasn't sure of the connotations. I'd seen something where they had to win to be in, but it could go other ways. That's quite a shock, because they were quite favoured at the start. And like you said, if the Bears beat the Packers, I don't know how Mr. Rogers will take that one, Najee, because he's been very vocal in the last few days about that connection, which surprised me. Now he's up in New York. But what about you, Gareth? Any game jumps off for you?
Yeah, I think Bills Miami. That's going to be a potentially a good game. I think this is the part of the season we don't get to decide. We don't get to influence from the Niners' point of view who represents the AFC. So I keep an eye on it. But yeah, seeing how the NFC will shake out, and obviously we can sit and enjoy the Super Wildcard weekends next weekend. So obviously keeping an eye on how that's going to develop and who's going to visit the division winners. I'll keeping an eye on those games. And sometimes I think week 18 you get a few mad things. People try something a bit crazy. Sometimes you've got players retiring. I do remember, was it a few years ago? I think it was Detroit's kicker was retiring, so they set him up for a field goal and he threw a touchdown pass instead. Can't think of his name. He must have been in his 40s when he finished finally playing. But that sort of stuff sometimes happens in week 18. So I'm going to look out for anything like that, as you said, on Red Zone.
Funny you should mention that, because I was going to make another bold claim.
Go on, Lee.
That Mitch Wishnowsky would line up as running back sometime in the game. Kyle's obviously seen a skill set when he ran that fake punt, and he's thinking, CMC's going to rest this week. Let's see what Mitch can do.
It's been a strange one with the fantasy football finishing last week. Bit of a mixed bag for me, Gareth. I'm not sure I'm going to do it next year. It's too stressful. I might follow Nadji's route. It's just too much time. I think I won 1 out of 11, and it's just too complicated sometimes. So again, I'm just looking forward to watching football on Sunday, NFL Sunday, 6 p.m. When you look back at the season we've had, the watch parties, the gold mine, it kind of feels a bit
good
weird
year
watching it at home, but then in the back of your mind's known there's the playoffs, there's the Super Bowl. I've seen the vibe on the group, people asking what's happening, and you're like, for obvious reasons, there's no plans at the moment. But
I was gonna get to that in the outro, but yeah, and I want to say to everybody that listens, enjoy this time right now, because you know it is entirely possible that we play one game in the playoff and we're out, and this season feels like a disaster. But right now, it's probably the best season we've ever had. I mean, that I can remember anyway. Last year was pretty awesome. This year is even better, and who's to know what's going to happen next year? You know, injuries, whatever it can be. Your season can get derailed so fast in this sport. So we got 2 weeks to just purely enjoy the last 17 weeks, 18 weeks of football. Been such a joy. And so this is cherry on top. Just a meaningless game against the Rams and sweep the West and all that. It's kind of cool. So yeah, appreciate the time, people, because it might not last. It could get way better, and it will get way better when we lift the trophy in February. When
Discord could get very dangerous now, Nadji, because Eric Oregard is back
in the
on
UK
soil.
Yeah.
So Mrs. O might be aware of what's going on that phone of his.
Maybe.
So while we're very much looking forward to week 18, week 18 does mean Black Monday at the end, where head coaches are traditionally shuffled off rather unceremoniously at the end of the season. We've already lost 3 in this season. That seems a little bit quiet. Is that about average? Not quite sure. Maybe it's about right. But I do think there are going to be at least a couple of firings on Black Monday, or at least parting ways, whether it's a firing or just a redundancy, shall we say. Any names leap out? I think Arthur Smith's going to struggle at Atlanta. I think he hasn't seemed to get much going.
He's already been told that he's coming back next year, hasn't he?
Has he?
I'm sure he's already been told that he'll be coming back.
Clearly. I'm going to shout out. Okay, who have you got then, Lee?
Belichick. Belichick's
definitely going.
Yeah. I don't think he'll be at the Patriots next season.
Wow.
Possible.
That's seismic.
Yeah, I was going to say Brandon Staley for me, the Chargers. I don't think that.
He's already gone.
Is he already gone? So
he's gone. A couple of weeks. Finally. Free Justin. I mean, obviously, Ron Rivera is probably going to be gone.
Yeah.
What that's going to mean for the NFC East is quite interesting, actually. If the Giants can get their act together, it might actually become enjoyable to watch these people. I would love the Commanders to be good, so they can beat the Eagles and Cowboys every year. Because I don't mind the Commanders all that much. Yeah, I think Belichick would be quite crazy. I heard Mike Tomlin, but now that they're 9-8, I don't think he's going to go.
Yeah, it's not the type of thing Mike Tomlin might do. They don't really do any knee-jerk reactions.
No, but I think he might step away. He's been there for so long, and just kind of the same way they had with Coward and basically all the coaches they've had at the Steelers. They kind of get fired, but not really. It's just like, we still like you, but go and do something else. We'll try something else, kind of thing. So yeah, that's 2 big names that could go. Maybe.
I've seen the Raiders players rallying around the interim head coach there, so that'll be interesting to see whether they keep him in post.
The Raiders, they're going to do something stupid for sure.
So just in case either one of you haven't noticed, Gareth isn't dead. He looks as though he's actually dropped off the internet there.
Oh, he has, yeah.
He hasn't moved for quite a while. So while we wait for Gareth to come back on and join, I have a question for Nadji. I'm going to steal Paul's thunder and Paul's gimmick on the Tuesday live show. And I'm going to give you a would you rather.
Oh, okay.
So, Nadji Karar, would you rather have Brock Purdy at quarterback or Justin Herbert?
Tough one. No, I'd rather have Brock. I think Brock is...
I thought he was going to do the whole, my internet's not working either. Thanks, everyone. And then come back on with a number 10 shirt there and a number 30.
Oh, that's a tough one. I genuinely think Justin Herbert is one of the best quarterbacks in this league. Brock is amazing, though. I'm starting... The thing you've got to think is, I've known Brock for a year and a bit, right? I've been following Justin Herbert for 6-7 years now, since he's playing for Oregon. So I've been, a massive fan of his for a long time. So yeah,
we haven't noticed.
Well,
you don't short much.
I have this jersey. That's how much I like him.
But interesting.
Do you sleep in it?
yeah, cuddle it.
I'm going to say, interesting you've gone down that road, Lee, because obviously we do have our own news. You said there about the Tuesday show.
Yeah.
Moving to a Wednesday. And I was going to say to people, I have been asked a couple of times, so the would you rather was synonymous with the Tuesday show. So as you've seen in my update, we won't be carrying that feature over onto a Wednesday. We're taking this opportunity to obviously bring in some new hosts and bring in some new features, which we've posted in the group. So a cheeky plug, Wednesday, 8 p.m. So do tune in and be excited to see. Obviously, I'm remaining the main host, for want of a better word, and I'll be joined by some familiar faces and possibly new faces in the next coming weeks. So I'm looking forward to you chaps joining the chaos that is the live. Because you've done one before, Lee, and we were always trying to get Nadji on and Gareth, but you have done one before. You stepped in for me when I had a family emergency. So it's a slightly different feel, isn't it, Lee, than the pod?
It is. It is a slightly different feel, and I think it's obviously when we did it, we did the watch party show, so it felt a lot different not having to talk about the football. Even though we did talk a little bit about the football, but it was mainly about the watch party. It was kind of good, which is why I thought, and I kind of teased it out earlier in the week. Maybe it's the first live show, the first new live show for the Wednesday night. Obviously, we are playing our final regular season game of our 10th season at Levi Stadium. And it might be a good time to drag up that conversation that we had with Nadji many moons ago now. I think it was a good 2 seasons ago, where Nadji dropped the conspiracy theory about Candlestick Park, but he didn't elaborate on that. So that might be a good one to talk about. And what I would like to hear is everybody's outrageous conspiracy theories of why we moved out of Candlestick. It doesn't have to have an ounce of truth in it. The more outrageous, the better. We'd like to hear them, and we'll discuss them on the show as well.
So Nadji, what you missed, Gareth, is Lee asked Nadji a very important question. So I don't know if you want to fill him in on the question, Lee. Not literally fill him in, which means something different in the Northeast.
So I kind of stole Paul's thunder a bit and give him a would you rather, and it was would you rather have Brock Purdy at quarterback or Justin Herbert? All of a sudden, the colour drained out of Nadji. He went as white as a sheet.
Yeah. I think I answered pretty well, right?
You did.
There's only one answer.
There is only one answer.
Well, apparently there's not. There's 2 answers.
There is 2 answers.
but he got it right the first time.
We're not saying this at all to wind you up, Nadji. I think Herbert is one of the most overrated players in the league. He makes a load of wow throws, and people seem to forget he just makes all these interceptions that costs his team games. Now everyone's going to blame his coach.
6 this year.
And we
He's front 6.
So the next meet,
that's less than Brock.
At the next meet-up, Nadji will be in his Oregon Herbert jersey, and he will debate this point.
It's a Chargers jersey. I've never been able to buy it.
I could be wrong. I think he's going to be one of those guys who will always put up decent numbers, always put up some wow throws, but ain't going to win anything. There we go. I've said it.
Good coach. Give him a good coach. We'll see.
We will see. Have we covered everything? Sorry about that. My Chrome decided to completely melt down.
It's all good. We have.
I am back.
Talked about the live quickly. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's a work in progress. We're going to try things. Nothing's set in stone. Tell us what you want, and we'll try that. And then on to PSAs. Watch parties. Nothing is organized yet. So stop asking us, please. We don't know. If we follow the path of what happened last year, we assume something might get done at some point. Where, when will be easy. That's when the game is. But where and all that, we'll let you know as soon as we know, and it's 100% definite. So that's all we can say really.
One thing I can say is that we will know before anybody else.
Yeah, we will, and we will let you know as soon as.
But the conspiracy theory at the moment is we keep getting messages and we're answering them honestly like, no, we don't know. And people are like, oh, all right, yeah, I don't know. And you look at your phone and you think, really? I've got no information at the moment. Like you said, Lee, once we know, we have been proven in the past to, as soon as we know, you guys will know. Because we're in the same boat. We want to know if something's happening and we want to arrange transport.
And to be perfectly transparent, we have told, the 49ers and Nick to let us know as soon as possible so we can tell people so they can arrange transport, take time off, and etc. etc. It's out of our hands. Then they
so there's a rumor.
They are trying to,
There is a rumour that the watch party will be at Wolverhampton Wanderers football ground. We're going to request that the game's played on a Wednesday. Jonathan Wass is going to turn up wearing wed, and then hopefully we'll get the win.
Nah, there's no such thing as curses and all the rest of it. I know some people, Nadji, like to book for the Super Bowl, and we used to do our own one a couple of years ago. Like me and Lee used to just book up at Newcastle because there was only a few of us went. But obviously, after the 2019 Super Bowl run and what's happened the last couple of years, we haven't booked anything because obviously when the Niners get there, we're hoping for some news, and that's why we haven't booked any. But if you want to go ahead and book your own Super Bowl watch party or do stuff in your own local area, you want us to support that, let us know. But I must admit, Nadji, I've seen other fan groups now asking the questions, and you think, can't say anything at the moment because we don't know.
We have no idea.
People
we
will
assume
know when
it might.
we know.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts on the season as a whole before we wrap up?
I mean, I've said it already. I'm saying it again.
It's well covered.
I'm going to say it again. Justin Herbert is really good. And also, enjoy this time. It's great. What a season we've had. Enjoy it.
Well,
it's been a great season for the team and a great
successful
season for the group. Seeing the everyone out of the gold mine. I missed the London watch party. But to see that compared to a few years ago where there wasn't really much happening in terms of a fan network in the UK, to have those in such a short period of time, I think shows the work, particularly from Lee and Paul promoting the group and tapping up the Niners and whatever information you've got on Jed, Lee, it's clearly working. Well done.
Teamwork makes the dream work. It's everyone. It's the community. We joked on the show about the podcast last week hitting our record downloads. I'm still absolutely buzzing about that, to be fair. Like you said, us four meet up, we talk football, we have our group chat going, but if people weren't downloading and listening and giving us feedback, it would just be us four talking, which I'm sure we would still do. But it is appreciated that everybody does download. And Nadji, I'll say it again, that trophy, I've had a lot of messages about that trophy, buddy. So I'm looking forward to seeing who wins. Just to clarify, that's end of the season, isn't it? So it's playoffs included as well.
It's end of the Niners season. I think that's when our predictions, because they're Niners predictions, will
so
finish.
At least two more games.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, gents. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me for 18 times, though I have missed a couple of shows along the way there. And thanks to everybody who listens to the show. Where do you stand on the rust or rest question? Let us know in the comments. And also let us know any crazy predictions you might have for this game, because I do feel it could be quite exciting. It could be quite mad. It could be quite terrible in equal measure. But there we are. We will be back early next week to review the season finale, and then we'll look ahead to our bye week. And see how the post-season matchups have shaken out. So the regular season goes fast. Enjoy this last game, but look ahead to the next 3. Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry Rice down.